morning. Back up into the space here. Good morning again. It's Tuesday, July 4th, 2023. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice Wudang Dragon Sword. We have the last several movements in form that we're working on this week. What's going to happen after that is I'm going to go back through a little bit, talk a little bit more, maybe try and show a little bit more some of the fundamentals for Dragon Sword, things to pay attention to, things to look for, different types of things that we want to develop, skills that we want to be able to develop, and some of the more subtle aspects of working with the sword and paying attention to the internal workmanship as we do that. Probably the end of July, I will have some announcements about what is next. I'm looking at potentially continuing review in August, not sure yet. September, I already have planned that things will be changing. I'm not sure exactly which of the different options I'm going to start working with. The philosophy option is one that I have talked about. I haven't really recorded too much on that. I might start doing that. There are a couple other things that I have been looking at as far as review and sets that are easier to repeat. So when we're practicing sword, I'm going to get started here. Yes, I start moving around like that, I'm going to get started. That's my internal clock telling me it's time to go, time to get going. All right, so this idea that we go back through and review and pay attention to things that we should practice. In doing that, we start to develop a little bit more of that vocabulary for that particular art. Now, one of the things that's difficult in this particular series is that I'm giving something new pretty much every week. And I will freely admit that I could have been a bit more organized. I still could be a lot more organized in how I set up the classes and what I'm delivering. Okay, so it's there. So one of the changes that I'm looking at is to do something with Xingyi. Now, I was teaching Xingyi class for about a year, and one of the things that we have with Xingyi is a relatively simple set of movements that we repeat a lot. All right, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing, trust me. That development from that repetition is similar to what we have with Wudang Qigong. There's a finite set. I've separated the first 9 and the last 9 so that the advanced set, the foundation sets are different, and I present them differently. That idea is something that I'm working with, and I welcome your suggestions. And how about, could we work on this? Or, I'm really interested in this sort of thing. I'm really looking for suggestions on this. I have some of my own ideas, but I would like to find out what y'all like. So let me know. Feet about shoulder width apart. Bend the knees. Open the arms. Wiggle the fingers. Hands circle the front. Open the back as you circle the hands to the front. And up along center line. Reach out. Bend the knees. Reach out over the legs. Stretch through the back of the legs. One more time. Roll up. Elbows drop down, wrists, fingertips, hands return to your sides. Right leg front, left leg back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Sink. And turn around on the other side. Left leg front. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and sink more. Come on up. Alright. I'm going to call out something that I want y'all to pay attention to in what I just did. Notice, you have to rewind, but notice that I adjusted my neck and I adjusted my lower back as I was doing the leg set. That I did. Knowing that, that's part of what we want to do in warm-up. I had some tension there, I got rid of it. I had some tension in my lower back, I got rid of it. I corrected my body alignment. I corrected shoulders, no, down, oh, yeah, okay, there we go. That correction to release the tension and to naturally align the spine is one of the things that we want to be able to, it's a skill we want to be able to have, right? It's very useful, it's very subtle, it's not, if I didn't tell you about it, you might not notice it. So I wanted you to notice it. We'll talk about it. That is also something that you can pay attention to with sword, right? As I've talked about, which direction are we going, what kinds of movements are we doing with the sword, what might we be doing, right? That, yeah, I was ready to go up on this leg. It goes there. That flexibility, what am I doing? Where am I going with it? Do I know what I'm doing here? Right? As opposed to, well, I don't know, let me try not to hit the fan. I did hit the fan this morning. Try not to hit the fan, right? That sense of, I know what I have. I could have a short staff, which doesn't have blade edges. I could have a sword that is one-sided, not two-sided. This is a Jen. Just take a Jen. Well, may I get dao. I can show you a picture of what a dao looks like. It's a broadsword. We call it a broadsword in English, right? That distinction. A broadsword doesn't look like this. It doesn't. It may have a similar shape, so it may still be narrow, but it's intended to only have one edge. Now, I've seen some that have some things going on the tip that you wouldn't want to encounter. But that sense of what kind of thing do I have? What am I working with? What might it do, right, is essential for everything that we're doing in Dragon Sword, right? If the sword doesn't have purpose in the movement, if we can't identify the kind of thing that we're doing and know how it might work, it doesn't have to be this way, but it might be this way, right? That sense of purpose and intent needs to be present. If it's not, you're just waving things around in the air, and the connection between whatever we're doing here and what we're doing through the body has to be present. I was watching something that I'm trying to forget the other day, and the connection wasn't there. It wasn't, right? And as a beginner, it's not gonna be. It's not. And I'm gonna say this just because, and then we're really gonna get started. The image that you have of what practice should look like. I was off camera there, I was having some coffee. The image that you, hang on a second. Yeah, that's it. My trusty error is back. There's something going on in the background that's taken bandwidth, and I thought I had turned everything off, but maybe not. Alright, anyway, it'll go away in a minute, and then I'm going to get started. This idea that we want to pay attention to what we have, that the intent and the purpose behind the movement need to be clear. And if they're not, something's missing, right? Maybe the person's just getting started. They're not proficient yet, right? And that was the point where I started checking the machine. Everything that I do, if I do it fully, and even some of the things I don't do fully, reflects my practice. I've been at this for 40 years. Maybe a little bit more if I count on my dance training. So I've been at this most of my life. I did all sorts of sports when I was growing up. I went into dance and then Tai Chi as I became an adult, and I've kept going. That development, it's here. It's here. It's part of what I call out in some of the moves, and I'm talking about it this morning for particular reasons. I'm gonna get to it. All right, that sense of how to move, what's going on in the movement, and being able to see clearly, without question, what's going on in the movement is something that we want to cultivate. It's not an accident, and it's not, in my tradition, it's not violent. It's non-violent. It's no. That's not a good thing to do. I think. No. Alright? The idea that in traditional martial arts, the teacher looks at who the student is before they teach. And who are you? I can't do that through the camera, but I'm hoping, right? So, who are you? And what are you going to do with these skills that I'm going to show you how to use? What are you going to do? Protect yourself, protect others. Good. Bully others. Beat up others that haven't done anything to you, that haven't immediately tried to attack you or someone you're with or someone who's in the area where you need to step in? No. The character of the person matters. It does. In the tradition of the arts, there are, in Shaolin, there are 5 types of people. In Wudang, there are 10. It's not a good idea to teach these folks. That tradition, right, is one of the things that I tried to learn, have studied. It's not, I don't know anybody, including anybody who's a native speaker of Chinese, who has studied everything there is to know about all of the martial arts that have ever developed in China. It's a huge body of knowledge. Okay, it's huge. Libraries full of huge. There's nobody. There's no one person. Okay, maybe somebody feed it all to an AI and they could get something back, but it just no. That sense that here's what I teach, here's what I've learned, here's what I paid attention to, here's why I paid attention to it. In some cases, I paid attention to it because that's what my teacher told me to pay attention to. Right? Yeah. You need to pay attention to the character of the person. He paid attention to the character of the people that he taught. He did. All of my teachers did. Not a one. It matters. That sense of who to teach, as well as what and how to teach. Right? What am I going to teach? How am I going to teach it? The how part is very individual. Each teacher has their own methods, their own ways of doing things. The what part, for me, is as close as I can get. This is my definition. As close as I can get to what my teacher did. So, in the case of Wudang Dragon Sword, Professor Liu Zheng. As close as I can get to what he did. Now, I'm not male. I don't have his physical training. I don't, there's a long list of things, right? I do have some other things that come with. So, that's part of what I can bring to the art. Each person that learns has something that they're going to bring. And that increases the body of knowledge that we have. And it makes what we're doing a living art. It's not dead, it's alive, right? And the more we can understand and use the principles behind whatever that form is, in this case Dragon Sword, the more that we can understand and use the principles behind, the more that we can, the more that we can cultivate how we move, the deeper the understanding of what we're doing can be. And as we look at some of the translations, for me, in a lot of cases, I read Chinese, but I don't read the traditional characters, so I have to work with the translation. That development of what are we talking about here? And some of the things for sword, and one of the reasons I'm behind on the sword translations is because I can't use the automated stuff. It gives me, it doesn't understand martial arts. It was better with a dictionary. I'm telling you, it was better with a dictionary. All right. I have several. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Going in, and up, 1, 2, 3. And close. Now, that turn at the end, and so I want to talk about that just for a second. I'm going to do this again. The turn at the end, I went out. It's a little awkward in here, okay? I did hit the fan earlier. There's a ceiling fan up here. I hit it. Yeah. So I went outside, and I don't have any impediments. There's nothing that I'm going to hit. What do I, what, blah, 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 blah. And I talked about this yesterday. The effort to avoid hitting something in the room affects the way that I move. Okay? I just tested it. Just right before class I tested it. So I'm going to slow this down just a little bit. And we're going to pay a little bit more attention to some of the details as we move through. In the movement just before, right? Step through. Yeah, I'm going to take that back. Let me, one more time. I'm going to get there. There. All right. Where in the sequence is the movement that I want to start from? And how do I find it? Right there. That's what I want to start from. So, here. And up. That sequence, we've seen this before, haven't we? Here I go, right? As the blade comes up, right? This pull, this pull. And the idea that there is also cover in this position, that I'm going to stop something, that if there's something coming here, I can move this out of the way. I can come up, I can come straight up with it and do something else. That sense of where am I going, what am I doing, right? Paying attention to the idea that there's something here. It's not, and I'm going to do this. Don't do this. This is the not way to do, right? No. 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 Yes. That difference is important. It really is. All right. So, I'm up here, now what? Lean, don't lean, right? Not leaning. Here, down to the front on the 45. Step behind. Come back around. Set this heel so that it's on pretty much, let me get there. It's easier when I'm turned there and I'm not leaning. All right, so it's on the same line as your other foot. So when I come back here, I'm in a nice ballet fourth, actually. More or less. This heel and this heel on more or less the same line. So when I turn my foot, my feet are parallel. All right, that's the sequence, right? As I turn around to come up, my foot has to turn. All right, so here, down, behind, up, the feet. I am breaking this up a lot, but it's part of that, this closing and this idea that as we're paying attention to what we're doing, if we're not in a correct position to do it, it's not going to happen. If I don't set my foot here, when I step back, if I don't set my foot here to be able to turn around, right? Not going to happen. That, and I'm going to talk about that for just a second, a little bit more, and we're going to do it to the other side. That simplicity is one of the things that we want. None of what Professor Liu taught was, a couple of exceptions, but most of it was not flashy. It was direct and purposeful. And there was no question what the purpose was. There's no question. Now, that ability develops over time, and part of it comes from knowing and understanding what you should be doing. If I show, I'm going to do this. If I show this movement, and I'm up, okay, wait a minute. I'm here, down 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's nice, it's easy, it shows the mechanics. If that's all you ever see, that's a problem. If that's all that's ever done, that's a problem. It's missing a lot. I left out a whole bunch in that little series there. All right, so the sense that I'm checking, I don't want to hit the fan again, I don't. All right, here. There's not a lot of question about what I'm doing. There's not. It's not. Right? And there's not a lot of opportunity for me to wobble or go somewhere else. It's not. Right? No. And I'm going to try and do this. This is also no. This is no. Don't do this. All right, I'm up here, come down. No. Everything works together. And the idea that only one part of the body is working, if we're remaining, upper and lower body are working. My leg, this leg is working really hard. As I come down, hold through the center, pull in, and come down. No. No. That's incomplete. Again, the idea that as a beginner, I need to learn how to move the sword. Yes. This is not a beginner level form. I don't recommend anybody that's a beginner to even start this form. But since we're here and we're finishing it, and I'm reviewing what we're doing. This is part of what we want to pay attention to, is what goes on internally, what goes on behind what we're doing, right? And I hesitated on that term because I was looking for, I was going to take the lampshade out. Yeah, I was going to. All right, that space, I'm going to do this outside and you'll see the full turn there. As I come around, one, right? I want this to be less up and more overhead. So, here, 1, 2, lean back, come around, then down to go to the outside. I'm going to do that again. That stance is a bit high. The sword form and the sword method and my waist and balance were all good. All right, that sense of how do I get there? All right, this is where I am. Turn, 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 change hands, extend, step up, salute, close. That last turn, spin. It really is a spin. That combination of extension here, turn here. You have to turn the sword over to change hands. You can't change hands here. No, can't, doesn't work. I'd have to take it from here. I can't do that. Look where my arm is. No, I'm not doing that. Alright? The hand has to turn over so you can change hands. So as we come around here, slice across, palm down, turn the foot, turn the sword, come around, slice across, keep coming across, change hands. Right hand extends, step up and close. Salute. All right, that, let me do that again. You got from this side. That ending, right, should have all of the effort, right, here, off balance. I'm going to do it again. I shifted my weight and I leaned forward. I'm still having to avoid the bookshelf. All right, so let's see if I can do that different.
might be low enough. Might be able to do it. All right, one more time. Forgot the hand extension. That's the side. I was being happy that I had the circle and I had the sword where I wanted it to be. Alright, that change hands, slice around, change. Right here. That change should be as invisible as possible. It's magic. Right? 1, 2. Nah, not quite. There we go. The more you practice, the more you get comfortable with where the sword is, right? The more you get comfortable with what you're doing. I can do this up here. I'll take that. I know. One of the, I talked about this before. One of the hazards of working indoors is not having quite enough space, right? So that here, I'm looking at the fan. I'm not paying as much attention to the sword as I should, because I have to pay attention to the fan. I'm not taking the fan out. I can't afford to buy a new fan, right? So as I come around here, I need to make sure I clear the fan. That gives me an opportunity as well as a limitation. The more I pay attention to where the fan is, not so good. But if I pay attention to where the sword needs to be to clear the fan, now I'm back at focusing on the sword again, not the fan. That, and I don't have the right measurement yet, because I can get to about here and there's a thing. So I have to work on that. That turn, so this turn, as this comes around, I would hit the fan. I would. Same thing here. As I come down, I'm not really going to hit anything over here, so I don't have to worry about it. And either direction, I can center that in either direction. So I don't have that limitation. I have a limitation in my legs. I want to go down further. Got to work on that. For the turn, again, I had to step forward here again. For the turn here, it's more or less level. The sword is more or less level once I start. I've got to have a big enough circle to sweep all the way around with the blade extended. I had to pull it back a little bit. Yeah, my elbow's bent a little bit. I should, not quite so much bend in the elbow. This goes wide. All right, and the dynamic of the turn is part of what we want in the form. Now, I did, stepping method was not quite what it should be, right? Here, that's it. Each time, the more we pay attention to, where's the sword? I'm here, slice across, I'm going to turn, right? Come across, here, come in, come across, turn it, come around. That change and how we set this comes around this way, and this comes here. Where's the sword? It should be here. No. Yes. If my hand is too tight, as I come around, I can't change hands. Just now, finger got stuck, right? So as I'm coming around here, it's partly paying attention, it's partly understanding where you are in space, where what you have is, and then relaxing enough. I hold my sword like this. I'm gripping it really hard. It's shaking because I'm gripping it really hard. That's not my cheat. I'm gripping it really hard. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Right? As it comes around here, this has to be ready to take it. If it's not, no, right? Right here. The hand starts to release. You're still holding the sword, but the hand starts to release. Has to be solid here. Extend through the tip, right? As we extend out here. As I come around here, turn over, come all the way around, right here, ready. That preparation right here. Is part of the whole turn. It's not, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. let me show you. Here, here. Change hands. Turn foot. Oops, excuse me. Extend. Step in. Out, pull it in, and down. No. We need that in order to learn what we're doing. We do. We have to go through step by step and learn what we're doing. But that's not enough. Right? It's not. So, again, I'm looking for the space here, right? Here. That I know where I'm going to stop. I'm going there. Static movement at the beginning. Do I know where I should be? Do I know where my feet are? Do I know where my hands are? Do I know? Do I know where my feet are? Do I know where my hands are, right? Where am I supposed to be? Can I be lower? Yeah, I could. Right? As I come around, that smooth, precise movement is what we want. It should be as if I was going to do something else. I could keep going. I could turn around and go do this the other side. There is that practice. Instead of closing, I start again. So from here, come around, change hands, here, close, right? From here, come around, change hands, extend, step in, and start over. I could. It's another level of practice, and if I was going to be more ambitious, right, compared to what I just did, right, so I turn around here, step, come across, right hand. There is an opportunity right here to not change hands. So that, or to change hands so that we step out and try that. I'm here. Right? Close. I'm here. Step out. This has to turn over to get me to the other side. Yeah, I'm thinking through this as I'm doing it here. I am. I have to turn it over. Come down on this side. I don't do this left-handed. All right, so the idea that we could keep going and do the same side, do the same set again, yeah, I just did that. Right? Take a step and start again. Changing to the other side. I know it exists. I haven't done it. It's something that I'm going to take another look at. I'm not left-handed, and I've not ever practiced other than a few basic things. Right now, my left hand is not doing nearly what I would like it to do. All right, so, right, I haven't practiced. I practiced my right hand. It's there, all right? That sense of what can I do with the left versus what can I do with the right. If I'm practicing with a double sword, then I better be able to do both. I never have. That's something that I'm talking about, and I've talked about a bunch of things today. I'm going to wind it up. That is something that is part of my practice, part of my limitation, part of how I learned, right?
There are people I know who learned double sword. They get two swords out and they go. It's not a problem. They practiced that. They worked at it. That's what they learned. The skill to do that, same as everything else, it's practice. I never practiced sword with my left side. I never did. I never practiced left-handed sword. Again, I do some basic things, but am I going to? Probably not. It's probably not something I'm going to do. I might, but probably not. And that recognition isn't bad. This is what I'm practicing. I've learned things that I don't practice. Right? So when we practice, what are we going to practice? You practice everything you learned every time? No. No. You practice some things and you practice other things, and you move through the learning process so that as you practice one thing, you develop skills that help you learn the other things that you're working on, develop your skills in the other things that you want to develop. Part of that process oftentimes includes letting go of things that are not something you're going to pay attention to, not something you're probably capable of, right? There's a lot of things that I'm capable of. There's a lot of things that, yeah, it ain't going to happen, all right? And there are other things that we can work on, all right? So, I'm my example, I'm probably not going to learn left-handed sword. I might learn double-handed sword. I might, but I'm not going to work on a left-handed sword. I'm always going to work on a right-handed sword. Where I'm comfortable, that's what I'm going to do. And I recognize that. There are people who can, from this position, a little bit of warm-up, jump up in the air, do 2 spins, 3 spins, couple of kicks, and drop back down in the same position. It's fantastic. It's great. I've seen people do it. I spoke about a video that was shared with me of someone practicing Changchuan, long fist, in China, and a competition. And the effort to do that. Am I going to try and do that? No. Was I ever able to do that? Yeah, no. The flight skills were never mine, right? I had some of the grounded skills, but not that I didn't have the flight skills. So I chose, and this is kind of important for all of the things as I'm wrapping up. I chose to practice the kinds of things that I could be good at. I looked at the things that were possible for me to study. Judo, karate, jiu-jitsu. I looked at a broad range of things. What am I going to practice? That question. And practice this, right? Sword with the right hand. Tai Chi, Xingyi, Bagua. Qigong. A few other things. Those are the things that I'm going to practice. And the development, because it's always development. You start at one place and you develop. And you work through to get to a point that you're more developed than you were when you started. It's always something. There's always something more. There's always some little thing that we can tweak, that we can add to, that we can connect with. practice with what we're doing. I can't connect my breath until I've learned the movement. I can't connect my internal breath, the chi, until I got my breath connected. So if I'm huffing and puffing and I'm only breathing from the upper part of my body, then I'm not connected. If the upper body and the lower body are not connected through the waist, then when I turn, the appearance will be awkward. Leave my hips behind. Turn. Now move the hip. No! Go. Shoulders and the hips stay together. We move together. Body moves together, right? As I'm turning, I'm paying attention to where my feet are, where my shoulders are, where my hips are, as well as how much force I'm using, right? This nice little one. This is a little bit more, a little sharper. And I know in advance where I'm going to stop. I know that I'm going to go this way. I'm going to stop. I'm not going behind. I'm not going to try and do a 360 and go this way, right? That flexibility in how it's not, you know, how high can I raise my leg? Flexibility is more than just the flexibility of the muscles and tendons, ligaments, and joints in your body. That's part of that flexibility in how we move, and that connection through the movement is something that I looked at in all of the teachers that I had, in all of the arts that I've studied, and recognized that bringing everything together gives me so much more than any one little piece here and there. So that's a skill that I want to develop. If I don't have the physical skills, if I don't have the breathing skills, if I don't have laundry list of things, right? Balance, placement, muscles, I can't do it. Have to develop those skills. As I develop those skills, I gain more skills. I gain the ability to discern a little bit more clearly what I'm doing in the movement and through the movement, and to pay attention a lot more clearly to, in this case, what the sword is doing. It could be just my hands. What am I doing here, right? That connection and that clarity we talk about in the tradition, that we can disregard appearances and everything becomes clear. Thank you for being here today. I will be back tomorrow with Dragon Sword. Thursday and Friday, why don't you come? I appreciate you being here. Thank you.